In this video, I'm going to be talking about some installation considerations when you're choosing your hood for your kitchen project. A couple of things you want to keep in mind. First, we're going to talk about the hood depth. Depth becomes very important. This particular depth of this hood is 24 inches. We just want to make sure that the depth can cover the front edge of your front burner by at least 1.5 inches. The reason for this, the contaminants are rising off the cooktop. We need to make sure the canopy is deep enough to capture them. If this hood is a little more shallow, some contaminants might end up moving back into your house, and we want to make sure that your hood is working at peak performance. Along those lines, you might also choose a range that has an earthquake bracket, or you might have an existing gas line that causes your installer to put the stove in with an extra inch of protrusion into your kitchen. This is going to cause a performance drop of the hood when you're cooking on the front burner, since it's going to take it out of range for that 1.5 inch coverage. Next, we're going to talk about the height of the hood. All of our hoods have a recommended mounting height. This is critical. It might be a range of 24 inches or 27 inches or 30 inches of space between the cooktop and the hood. We've done extensive testing to ensure that your hood's going to work the best at its recommended mounting height. The higher you go beyond the recommended mounting height, there's going to be an incremental decrease in performance. And in order to make sure your hood's working its very best, we'd like to see you follow those height guidelines wherever possible. Next, we're going to talk about the hood width. We would like to see a 3-inch overhang of your hood to your stovetop whenever possible. This is the only way we can give you a 100% smoke and grease extraction guarantee. If you have a 30-inch range, we'd prefer to see a 36-inch width hood. If you have a 42-inch cooktop, we'd like to see, in turn, a 48-inch width hood. We know that's not always possible. In a case where you have cabinets that only allow for a 36-inch hood over a 36-inch stovetop, it's completely acceptable. But we can't give you the same performance guarantee we could if you had that extra 3-inch overhang. Lastly, I'd like to talk about shelf. A backsplash solid shelf that you'll commonly see that accompany a lot of ranges on the market today. These solid shelves can impede your performance. When you're cooking on your rear burners, those contaminants are going to rise straight up. When they meet that solid shelf, those smoke and contaminants are going to move to the left or to the right, possibly making their way away from your canopy, which will cause contaminants to move into your house. Whenever possible, we'd like to see you omit these solid shelves. We do sell a line of backsplashes that are vented so that smoke and contaminants can rise up straight through these shelves into the canopy, which is the preferable method, so we can guarantee your hood's going to work at its peak performance. In terms of power, we'd like to see you go with the most powerful hood possible. If your range top has a griddle or a barbecue, that's going to put off a lot more smoke and contaminants. We'd like to see a 3 or 4 blower configuration. Whenever your attic or space between floors will allow for the correct size duct, this is just going to give you that added performance you need. Remember, our hoods are very underrated. When we test the CFM, it's after 12 feet of pipe. The reason for this, we know that 12 feet of pipe is going to be in almost any home, and our competitors will commonly rate their CFM right off their blower system. How this relates to you when you're purchasing a Vena hood, our 600 CFM would relate to their 900 CFM in terms of power. So our hoods are very underrated. Once again, keep these in consideration when you're purchasing your range hood, just to make sure you have maximum performance.